discipline.
Yes, thank you, Kirill. But basically, I have the students, like, I think 2 weeks ago in my list of students. But your program office is like out of all standards. I don't know how you live with that, unfortunately. But yeah, it's life, Okay, I think it's like, okay, can you chance to look at the date of your debate? Do you have a chance? Do you basically received a link for this? Again, I just remind you, all topics, all dates, and all time for your debate you can find in this Google Docs. I send you all these links. Then also you can find all lectures in LMS too. What happened basically? Okay, can you see my PDF file? Can you see the slides? Good.
We can.
Good. Because like something happened with my laptop and it's something like that. Okay, it should be first slide called labor supply. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have huge topics like basic stuff. It's called labor supply and labor demand. And maybe somehow it will be repetition of your microeconomics course, but because you know that basically all part of economics based on this idea of this supply and demand. Yeah, and of course in labor economics we have the same idea of supply and demand, because then probably in micro you try to get this steady path, yeah, this equilibrium in your microeconomics course. Like you draw different, yeah, steady path, something like that. Don't worry. Okay, labor economics, yeah, sorry. It's like idea about labor supply and labor demand. I promise that I download this book to LMS. I do. I just forgot. Sorry. Okay. Basically, this lecture based on the chapter 2 from Labor Economics by Borjas, and chapter 2 from Modern Labor Economics is not really complicated and really basic textbooks about labor economics. So just okay. I mean, you can read these articles if you want to learn in more details about this basic stuff. First, if we speak about labor supply, of course, we speak about people. So you as individuals, yeah, you need to go to labor market in order to get some money to consume some goods. And if we speak about real theoretical models, it's kind of close to real life. Yeah, because your real life can be divided by two parts. Like work, job, study in your case, yeah, kind of job for you, and leisure. Yeah, if you have part-time job, it's like study plus part-time job and leisure. And you need to decide how many times you want to spend on the university, you want to spend on your part-time job, and you want to spend on the leisure. And so you seek to like rational individuals. Yeah, individuals. You know this concept of rational individuals from your basic microeconomics course. Yeah, microeconomics course. Yeah, it's kind of disputable question whether people are really rational or not. But I mean, we can Okay, it's kind of complicated questions, and you learn it during, for instance, behavioral economics if you have had this course. If not, you can just read some articles about behavioral economics, but like all basic theoretical models lies on the assumption that people are rational. Okay, and you're kind of rational individuals. You seek to maximize your well-being by consuming some goods and leisure. So in order to consume some goods, you need money. So you need to buy it basically with the money. And for this, you need to go to work. We discuss about what happened when you have non-labor income. Of course, if you have non-labor income, for instance, money from the renting or money from, I don't know, parents, investment funds, something like that, your decision about to work or not to work, of course, depends on this non-labor income, yeah? But like huge part of the world, need to work in order to get some money, in order to get some goods. And so person's wage rate and income is basically key economic variables that can explain allocation of time between the labor market, between your job, and between your leisure activities. Of course, sorry. Elena, thank you for reminding me. I just forgot to record the lecture, and if you want to record it, just remind me. Okay. Good. So, normal people prefer more goods and more leisure. You want to buy more, you want to consume more, and you want to more leisure. It's like normal behavior strategy. So, if we speak about consuming and maximizing your well-being, you know that maximizing well-being based on the utility function. Utility function can be in different forms. But in case of labor market, it basically consists of combination of goods, consumption, and leisure. So we have like two main elements of this, consumption and leisure. And different combination of consumption goods and hours of leisure can give you the same level of satisfaction, or it's the same level of utility. It's simple, and this the same level of utility producing by different combination of consuming and leisure lies in indifference curves. So each point on the same indifference curves give you the same level of satisfaction, but with different mixture of this leisure and consumption. And you can see from the pictures, that if some indifference curve lies above other indifference curve, it means that this combination of goods and leisure gives you more utility or more satisfaction. It's kind of simple concept. And I think it's kind of simple that, for instance, for some people, leisure is more valuable, for other people, money is more valuable, but these people can be equally satisfied, depending on their preference, of course. So this indifference curve basically can be constructed for different levels of utility. And so the utility function can be represented graphically, in terms of family or of a map of different indifference curves. And then these curves have really crucial assumptions like properties. First, it should be downward sloping. Second, it should the high indifference curves mean the higher level of utility. Then indifference curve cannot be intersected. Then they are convex to their region. So let's discuss a little these assumptions. Why is downward sloping? because we suppose that normal individual prefer more consumption and leisure. So, but if indifference curve were upward sloping, like different, yeah, but then it means that consumption basket with more leisure and more goods would yield the same level of utility of as a consumption, like mixture, as a basically mixtures of the less leisure and less consumption. Yeah, it's not like real situation, yeah. Then the simple, yeah, the high indifference curve should again gives you a higher level of utility. Yeah, in otherwise, we have a strange situation when, for instance, 25 like thousand of these utils, or like, let's say it's like well-being, yeah, give you less satisfaction compared to the higher number of these utils, or like well-beings. It's not like a real situation too. Then indifference curves should not intersect, and basically these rules came from the previous rule that the higher level of the higher indifference curves should give you the higher utility. If we allow them to intersect, we basically violate the rules. And from this, you see that we may have situation when the different indifference curves, in our cases like 0 and 1, yeah, an example in the pictures, give you the same level of utility in point Y. Yeah, it's again violate the main the main assumption that the more consumption and more leisure should give you more satisfaction. Then they usually indifference curves are convex to the origin because people should spend at least some times on leisure and should spend some times on work. Basically, these rules came from that people need to sleep at least. Yeah, you cannot work 24 hours per day. Yeah, you need to spend some time on leisure, or like in other case, you just die. Yeah, and in this case, we say that it should be convex to the origin, because otherwise we may have the situation, even theoretically, that people can spend all the time on work. Is impossible. Yeah, it's impossible. Even in theoretical models, it's like nothing close to the reality. Yes, so like 4 main rules. Then again, maybe it's rather familiar concept from you, yeah, from your other courses. Yeah, so like this topic is kind of basic. I hope you have no problem with that then. Okay, first, the slope of indifference curves. So if we have this indifference curves, if you have our utility, we can have the marginal utility of leisure. It's basically defined as change in utility when you add additional hour of leisure. So the marginal of utility of consumption is the change of your utility if you decided to consume $1 more worth of goods. If you like $1 rubles, whatever, yeah. If you decided to spend one additional, how to say, piece of money, yeah, on the goods. So if we compare these two marginal utility, we can calculate the marginal rate of substitution. And then basically the ratio of marginal utility. It basically told you, yeah, shows you how many additional dollars worth of goods, so how many additional consumption it would take to bribe the person, giving up some leisure time. And for different people, it can be different bribe. Yeah, it means that like it shows you how much you prefer to consume and how much you prefer to leisure. And of course, it depends on the people preference. Some people say that leisure is more crucial for me. And for them, this marginal rate of substitutions, this bribe, yeah, would be higher. People say, oh, I don't want to work for this money. I don't want to buy these additional goods. Yeah, for me, leisure is more preferable. For other people say, no, I value money. For these people, bribe will be smaller. So basically, the assumption of convexity is basically equivalent to assumption of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Yeah, so we have again the same diminishing marginal rate of substitution. It means that that each additional bribe give you less utility. Yeah, so like kind of basic complex. And again, yeah, your marginal rate of substitution depends on the preference and depends on the utility function of different person. We have in this example 2 different person. You see Cindy A and Mindy B. Yeah, so in first case, we see that indifference curves tend to be very steep, and it means that in this case, marginal rate of substitution is higher. So what does it mean? Again, yeah, the bribes should be higher. Then in the next case, it's like flatter indifferent curve because we have different utility function. And in this case, it means that the marginal rate of substitution is lower. Yeah, just a simple concept. Okay, do you understand the idea of this marginal rate of substitution and difference curves utility function? Do you have any questions? I hope it's kind of not really complex, yeah, the main idea that you need to decide it.
Well, we have started it maybe 3 or 4 times during
So
our
like, yeah, so
courses.
I
So
say, yeah, so because of, I know that you do, but I mean, because of this, I said maybe it's kind of repetition and I don't want to spend some time for this. But we have people from other programs, study program, and maybe for them it's kind of not really some repetitive. I mean, not from economics. But those who are from economics, of course, you study this. Okay, the budget constraint. Yeah, the budget constraint is basically how much money you may spend on the goods. If you learn this for first time, if you have this usually function and budget constraint, how we can get the optimal level of what methods we need to use in order to get the optimal level? What like you have your main function and you have your constraint, and what methods you applied in order to get. Yeah, Anton, you're right. Okay, for those who are from other program, you just need to calculate Lagrangian multiplier. We are not going to do this. Yeah, but for you, just know. It's the same idea, yeah? You have your budget constraint. What is different for labor economics? Your budget constraint, basically, it's the income from your work and different non-labor income. And non-labor income is all other incomes that you do not get from your job. It can be investments, it can be, I don't know, like parents help you, yeah. It can be your scholarship. I know that it's not really high, but it's not like all income from non-labor sources, so-called. It's like here. So the budget constraint. So the budget line and the slope is the negative of the wage rate. So the crucial part of this idea that the wage rate is constant. So wage rate is just the salary that you get for each hour of labor. That's all. Yeah, do not spend some time. So you have your budget line. Yeah, you have different points, and this is just your endowment point, telling the person how much she can consume if individuals does not enter the labor market. So this endowment point basically depends on the amount of non-labor income. How much money do you have if you do not want to go to work? So, and basically the budget line is the boundary of your opportunity set. So the set of all consumption basket that you can afford to buy, given your non-labor income, given your labor income, and your preference. Yeah. So.
And excuse me.
Yeah.
And what is V, like minimum?
This is non-labor income.
Okay.
It's mean like how much money you here. It's mean how much money you have if you're not going to work.
Okay.
In your case, not I don't know. Like in your case, it can be like scholarship was like 2,000 rubles or what? Or like if parents do not help you, so like it's like 2,000 ruble scholarship. And for instance, something that your parents send you, it's your non-labor income. Not your exactly. I mean.
Okay.
Individual.
I got it.
Okay. Then, how people decided how many hours of work? Yeah, again, we have our budget line, we have our utility function, we have our non-labor income, and we just combine our budget line. Yeah, again, is opportunities available to work. In our case, who has $100 of non-labor income per week. Then market wage rate is $10 per hour, for instance. And this person have 110 hours of non-sleeping time to allocate between work and leisure activities. So so people can work 110 hours, or people can have like rest the same amount of hours, or this individual can split these hours by different basically parts. Yeah, to work or not to work. So this is our indifference curves. Yeah, so this point, yeah, when our indifference curves intersects with our budget line, called interior solution, is basically the optimal consumption of goods and leisure for the working is given by the point where this budget line, yeah, basically tangent, yeah, like intersect for this indifference cost. So optimal solution. So based on these really simple questions, can you say what is the optimal solution nowadays? How many hours of work this person have?
110 minus 70 hours for leisure, so 40 hours. of work?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, so like 40 hours per work, 70 hours per leisure, and yeah, this one. Yeah, consumption. So consumption will be at what point? I think simple, yeah, 500.
Yes. So for 400 for 40 hours of work, each hour is um, rewarded by $10 and $100 by some non-labor income.
Yeah, Nikolai, yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, Nikolai explained basically the really simple calculation of this decision. Yeah, like $400 your salary basically. Yeah, $100 non-labor income. Nothing really. What does it happened? Okay, let's do this. So interior solution. Yeah, it's basically this optimal point P on this picture. Yeah, and basically what is? Again, yeah, the slope of indifference curves equals the slope of the budget line. This applies the marginal rate of substitution, and this is our wage rate. So again, yeah, the marginal rate of substitution equals the wage rate in this interior solution, in this ideal world. Basically, we discussed it already, yeah? Sorry, we did it? Okay. Then.
May I ask the question?
Of course.
Shouldn't we, on the right-hand side of the equation, have 1 divided by wage rate?
Just show you. Not really, because in this case, it just like wage rate equal to the marginal rate of substitution. I just show you. I think it's like, no, we do not have just small questions. That's all. Not really. Why do you think so?
In my opinion, how this equation is work, we need to have in the numerator, for example, the marginal utility of leisure, and also in the numerator the price of the leisure. Okay, I understand. Because
yeah, I get your point. No, in this case it's more simple. Look,
I understand. So the price of the leisure is wage. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, you're right. I get it. This is more simple, yeah, because basically when you think about leisure, it's just like how much money I do not get if instead of working, I decided to have leisure. You're just basically your wage rate. I mean, how much money?
Yes, okay. I remember it because I forget.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Like so, really crucial remarks. If you feel that you don't understand, please ask. There are no no as you say stupid question. All questions are good. All questions. So don't worry. Don't worry. Like if I ask what happened, nothing happened. You are really good if you ask. I mean, don't be shy. Like, let's do it, even in distance way, like non-toxic atmosphere. Okay. Go on. So, what happened if, for instance, people have increasing in non-labor income? For instance, we suppose that we increase in non-labor income, and what happened basically with the change with the working hours. Like theoretically, we have two possible scenarios. It depends whether leisure is normal good or is inferior good. Okay, do you remember difference between normal good and inferior good? From microeconomics, I'm sure that you discuss it.
It will be better if you just develop on this.
Okay, Damir say yes. Okay, just quick reminder. Normal goods mean if you have more money, you decided to consume more. Inferior goods in opposite. Inferior goods if have I mean if you have more money, you decided consume less these goods. Okay, could someone remember the example of this inferior good? Okay, okay, example, let us do it in the example of normal good. What is example of normal good? Maria, you mean for inferior good? Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, maybe my question is not so, good, because like for different people can be different in inferior good. Yeah, for instance, Maria say it can be with why not? Yeah, or it can be, for instance, other how to say other goods that you consume because you do not have money for better goods. Think, okay, the simplest way, think about food. If you do not have money, potatoes, yeah, Maria, you're right, why not potatoes? Yeah, if you do not have any money, you buy maybe, yeah, Anna says doshirak, yeah, probably it's doshirak, yeah. You understand the idea, yeah? You buy really cheap stuff. If you have more money, you say, I don't want basic, but Anna, have you seen the price for this doshirak? I mean, doshirak is not really cheap, yeah? It's kind of not inferior good because the package of simple pasta, like макароны, типа из Ашана, да, каждый день, is kind of cheaper than doshirak, but you understand the idea, yeah? So we have two, sorry for my stupid jokes. Okay, we have two possible scenarios, like leisure is a normal goods and leisure is inferior good. So if a leisure is a normal goods, it means that if we have more money, probably we decided to work less. If leisure is inferior good, if you have more money, so higher non-labor income, you decided to work more. And yeah, it's like, according to your opinion, what scenario will be more realistic? Like when you decided to decrease your working hours or when you decided to increase your working hours? In case of change in the non-labor income.
It's a very good question because basically the change in non-labor income comes as a result of hard work. So at that point, a person just sees his leisure maybe as an inferior good.
Yeah, you're right. Basically, we speak a bit later about two possible, basically, scenario. Yeah, we have two possible effect, so-called income effect and substitution effect. And again, it depends on the people preferences. Yeah, you're right. So, like, basically, empirical papers say that all this scenario can be realistic. So it depends on the position of people. It depends on their education and their so-called wage rate and etc. So
Maybe it's maybe the the opposite example of the opposite type of behavior will be the example of some sudden winning, like winning a lottery. And in many cases, people don't know what to do with all those money, and they stop working, and they just spend them in a year or even less. So
thank you. Yeah, it's a really good example. Yeah, you may read about this all stories that winning in the lottery is a really not really, like, for some people, not really happy accident in their life. And probably why is that? You remember, really, I think it's like Fox theory. Do you remember from macroeconomics theory? Maybe you discuss, I don't remember the name of the theory. Okay, maybe you remember from the concept. In the micro course, yeah, you need you definitely discuss what happened with the consumption and investments. Yeah, when people know that in the next period their income will be higher. Yeah, do you discuss something like that? Okay,
yes.
in my, yeah.
So
you know, yeah,
the current consumption increases too.
yeah, the current consumption, but only in case what happened. Okay, should it increases in theory when you have like one big amount of money once, not like
No,
permanently increasing in
it should
income,
not.
but yeah, it should not. But the problem with the lottery, you see that it's not this case. They win like this big amount of money once, yeah, but what happened? Their consumption increases. I mean, why I told you, think about the theoretical stuff. It's not always can tell you much about reality. All theoretical stuff has their assumptions, yeah, and so prerequisites. And when you think about the really simplest way to see the world. And you know that the world is more complex, as you said me about lottery, for instance. Yeah, probably you discuss it in other courses, yeah? So we discuss the theory, but thank you for your comments. Yeah, we know that sometimes in reality, in specific cases, we can have different pictures. That's all. Yeah, so the other pictures. What happened when the wage rate changes? Yeah, again, worker can consume more leisure and work less, or worker consumes less leisure and work more. And basically, as you said, for instance, for people hardworking, yeah, if your salary increases, you may decide, okay, I have enough, and I stop. I mean, I will have more leisure, yeah? Or you may say, okay, my wage will increase, so I want to climb on the career ladder and want to work more in order to get higher wages. Maybe you discuss the really, really famous example of taxi drivers in New York. Do you remember this example of taxi drivers in New York in behavioral economics, or maybe discussing different courses? Okay, the question is simple. Yeah.
Yes,
sorry.
I hear about it.
Yeah. What is the main? Okay, what is the main sense of this example? Could you explain this?
That people, taxi drivers drives all the days with equal amount of time. But if they were rational, they should to walk more hours in busy days and less hours in days when people less need the taxis.
Yeah, right. And basically, why the people start to study this is the question is simple. Why is so hard to get a taxi in rainy day in New York? And maybe if you use this Yandex taxi or Get Taxi or Uber, yeah, sometimes it's really hard to get taxi when it's rainy. And maybe St. Petersburg taxi is the same as the New York taxi. When it's rainy, they decided that they need, for instance, earn some amount of money per day. Yeah, and in the rainy day, the basically demand for the taxi is high. Yeah, and then these taxi drivers can get this amount of money for instance, instead of 8 hours, for 4 hours, and then they walk 4 hours and they stop. So it's like irrational behavior, yeah. And then this is why it's maybe, yeah, it's because it's really hard to get this taxi driver in busy time. Okay, so we have two pictures, and these pictures we discuss in non-labor income and in this change in wage rate. We may have different effects. So like in non-labor income, empirical studies show that income effect is more probable. Yeah, but of course, as you said, for instance, yeah, about hard work, substitution effects can be too, but usually, yeah, in most cases, change in non-labor income, yeah, holding the wage rate constant, reduce hours of work. Yeah, people decided to work less. Yeah, but of course, as you can say rightly, yeah, correctly, it can be, yeah, it can be like extreme cases when people decided to work more because the non-labor income came from the investments, for instance, yeah, and these investments, it's just because this hard time, yeah, work. It's if you watch the movie Wolf from Wall Street, you see this basically that income effect for this specifically movie does not work. Yeah, they get these investments and they work more. Okay, then change in wage rate. Change in wage rate, empirical papers say that it can be two possible effects, but the problem what? In reality, we cannot find real income or real substitution effects. It's always somehow mixed. Yeah, it's mixed because it depends on, again, education, labor job position, family status, and etc., etc., etc. So substitution effects give you what? Increasing in the wage rate, holding real income constant, increases hours of work. Real income, it means if your wage rate increases, but non-labor income does not. Yeah, income effect give you what? It gives you that increases in wage rate can increase hours of work if the substitution effect dominates the income effect. Yeah, and if income effect dominates, it means that increase in the wage rate decreases hours of work. Then you told me now, if we speak about different type of person, like highly, like let's go highly qualified with the high wages and low qualified with the low wages. What do you think for high people with the high wages? What effects will be dominant if we have change in the wage rate? For people with high wages, what effect will be dominant, substitute or income effect?
Maybe a substitute, but maybe I'm an optimist. I don't know.
Substitute effect, you mean, yeah?
Yes.
Why do you think so?
So, as we have discussed, so it's just the psychotype of people with high salaries. So they they won't reduce working hours in the case of increasing of wage rate, but
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
depends.
No, you're right. Yeah, it can be one explanation. Another thing about like comments that we discuss about the price of leisure. For what people leisure will be more expensive, for people with high salary or people with a low salary?
With high salary.
Yeah, if it's more expensive, I mean, you can buy less, more expensive goods, yeah, holding this budget constraint. And you're right, yeah, people with a high salary, basically empirical articles shows you that for people with a high salary, substitution effect dominates. Why? Because what you said, and also because for them, leisure is more expensive good. And then people prefer do not spend so much money on leisure because for them, non-walking, yeah, gives you like the situation when you lose kind of a lot of money. You understand the idea, yeah? Maybe it's like counterintuitive because you think, okay, if people have a high salary, they need to rest more because they have enough money. But these people think, okay, if I do not work 1 hour, I can lose, I don't know, such amount of money. And for me, it will be so expensive to lose this amount of money. And for me, I prefer to work. And for like people with a low salary, the leisure is kind of cheap. And they say, okay, maybe for me it's better to spend time like with my family because I have small salary and I do not care much about when I lost like this not so high wage rate. But again, in this case, we speak about like real rational subjects. Yeah, but in reality, of course, it depends again on the preferences. And it depends, basically it depends on, you know, some special preference. And in behavioral economics, there are many study so-called altruism. Yeah, and when we add altruism in our utility function, the picture can a bit change. Yeah, because in real world and this behavioral economic studies shows us that non-material characteristics or what parts of your utility can increase your utility too. So altruism is non-rational, yeah. But what do you think? Why do you think people can be altruistic and lose money? Altruism is basically according to rational, like a rational being, a human being, it just like lost money and like non-rational behavior at all. Why people can be altruistic? Why it can increase their utility too? And basically it's well documented by empirical studies that altruistic actions increase the satisfaction of human being.
So, as the matter of fact, if an individual has, let's name them, I know, good deals or something like that. So something altruistic in his or her utility function. So his or her actions to do something altruistic are rather rational because he or she is maximizing his or her utility function.
Yeah, look, but yeah, you're right, definitely. But the idea is what? We say that we can include altruism in our utility function. But the problem is that based on the real classical theory, altruism is non-rational. It cannot be included in the utility function. But behavioral economists say we can include it. I mean, think like what is rational human being according to, for instance, Adam Smith? It's people thinking about themselves and that's all about their well-being. Yeah, Damir, you're right. People are no rational. And why is that we discuss it? Yeah, you're right. And behavioral economics shows us that people are no rational. So again, yeah, be careful with this classical microeconomic theory that we learn. Yeah, sometimes that, again, this really simplified reality and complex social reality is more complex. Yeah, as you say it, yeah. And altruistics can be maximizing your well-being because people sometimes like to think about themselves as a good person. If you think that you are a good person, it can increase your satisfaction of life. For some people, yeah? Like, I'm good, I really like to help people. And basically, empirical studies show that some people really like to be good. Yeah, like donation, like altruistic, like helping people, thinking about community, not about themselves. It's non-rational behavior according to the classic theory. Think about these climate changes. Yeah, like people think about not themselves, but about the future generations. Yeah, about basically environment, about other countries. It's like not, I mean, what is the conclusion? So be careful with that. Yeah, the climate change is not like really easy topic to discuss too. Yeah, so okay, let's go further.
Excuse me. Can it be interpreted as some kind of complex long-term investments? So in society or in I don't know the local community. So
yeah, why not? But if you are die, why do you need to care about investments? If
that's a good question.
I mean, you may think about your child, but I mean, if really rational, human being think about their child, yeah, of course it's long investment. Of course, the people about think, but like long term, it's like 60, 70 years, you may die already, and like, why you need to think about investments if you are going to die, and think about, okay. If we speak about climate change, really interesting, like your opinion. Are you worried about climate changes? Are you really think about the psychological problems? Do you really believe that we need to restrict the psychological stuff? Vladislav say no. Any other opinions? Do you think about it? Do we need to maybe implemented some ecological law that this basically why I ask you, because maybe you have heard from the news that now they discuss this implemented as ecological law. Basically dealing with the labor market too, because if we say that we need to implement this ecological standard, it it leads to the automatization of different basically producing function. And for some people, it means that they lose their job. Okay, except Vladislav do not care about ecological stuff. Any other opinions? Maybe.
Yeah, can I say? I just
Yeah.
think that waving hands just doesn't work. In case of rationality and climate changing, I think it's pretty irrational to think about your child just because of our biology. It's easier for me to say it in Russian, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Вспоминается фраза, как бы, которую вот Сапольский цитирует какого-то своего товарища, что я бы предпочел отдать свою жизнь за 2 там детей или 4 кузинов. То есть в природе существ биологических это очень рациональный эффект вкладываться в свой генетический продукт, потому что это заложено в голове. Более рационального даже ничего и не придумать. Вот. А касательно климатических изменений, даже если экономически об этом думать, скажем, в издержках, если рассуждать, то издержки, если мы на чашу весов положим ситуацию, когда мы вкладываемся в это и не вкладываемся. Если мы вкладываемся и ничего плохого не происходит, мы потеряли что-то. Если мы не вкладываемся и что-то плохое происходит, мы теряем все. Поэтому чисто экономически, наверное, стоит это делать.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for waving hands, because I see the presentation, I sometimes I cannot see your hands. Maybe it's better to just say sorry for that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I cannot see the screen of the Teams and presentation simultaneously. Sorry, and because of that, I may not see your hand. So maybe it's better just turn on your mic and say something, or just write in the chat. Okay, is it okay?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of philosophical questions about rational. I mean, if you read, for instance, this Adam Smith or something, rational is a bit different, yeah, but you're right, yeah. And if you're interested in this, you can read Shlomo Weber, probably have heard about this, and Deidre McCloskey. Yeah, they basically told about why the real human being nature is not economically rational at the pointed in the classical theory. Yeah, about climate change. Why I think, okay, let's finish with the climate change. If we speak about global labor market, think about the developing countries. Yeah, you're definitely right. We need to do something, but think about what we need to do with these developing countries. Because do you know what developing countries said about these ecological doctrines? Do you read it? Because it's interesting questions dealing with the economics, basically, and labor market too. Okay, maybe just speak on your mic.
I think that developing countries are not interested in reducing some pollution because it will affect their welfare, their economical rost. I forget the word.
Yeah, you're right. And basically, if you read this discussion, why I told you about this in labor economics class, because they also say about labor, because they said we cannot implement this because for them labor is more cheaper than investment in the new technology, and they need to economically develop, and they need to have this economic growth, and this economic growth is based on the cheap labor. And it was the same for China, not now. For China, labor is what's so cheap that all companies decided to build offshores in China. No, not offshore, so outsourced. Offshore too in Hong Kong. Yeah, outsource. They move their production to China because of cheap labor. And now they move to their production, you know, to what country? China is not cheap labor anymore, but in what country?
India, Taiwan.
Yeah, India, Taiwan. Taiwan is like 50-50. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but for now it's process what is called ну, как, в общем, большое возвращение. Я могу статьи на эту тему скинуть, если кому будет интересно. То есть вот этот процесс аутсорсинга в Китае, он возвращается, потому что ситуация в странах типа Китая налаживается, и в Индии, в принципе, тоже. И уже не так это выгодно. Поэтому производство как массово мигрировали, ну не мигрировали, покупались там и производились там, так они возвращаются в Америку и в страны развитые, на самом деле, сейчас. То есть процесс пошел, слава богу, в обратную сторону.
Yeah, because of like labor is not so cheap anymore, but they still in Bangladesh and India. Yeah, but you're right. You're definitely right. Yeah, it's like, and you think like, why we speak? Because it's dealing with the labor, it's dealing with the labor market. So there is a supply with the labor. People say, so, okay, supply and the labor depend on the, to our topic, reservation wage. And why they come back to the USA, for instance? Because people do not agree to work for this cheap wage or okay, the low prices, yeah, in China, for instance. And this outsourcing said it's not really cheap, yeah, to build production here, because what happened? Reservation wage for China people increases. And what is a reservation wage? It's a key concept for labor market. It's basically the minimum income that would make a person indifferent between non-working and working. What does it mean? It's a minimum salary for what people agree to go to the labor market. And this reservation wage, of course, depends on the economic development of countries. For China, it will be really low. And it means that these production fabrics, or plants, can find people for really low wages because their reservation wage was really low. But with economic development, these wages rises basically. And I mean, people do not agree to work for this salary, to work for this money. And the same case we have now. Maybe you have heard what happened with the labor migrants in Russia now. Like now, like this year, I mean. Oh, and the previous year. What happened with the labor migrants in the previous and this year in Russia? Now, maybe you have heard from the news. Дамир, вас просят послать название статьи, которые вы упомянули. Люди очень заинтересовались. Напишите, пожалуйста, в чат название, если вас не затруднит.
Okay, I will find it when I come home. Okay.
Okay. Maybe, do you know what happened with the labor migrants? Have you read the news?
I may suppose that number of migrant labor force was reduced during the pandemic because it was the problems to go to Russia.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, you're right, definitely. Okay. Do you know in what sectors these labor markets works?
Construction?
Construction. What else can be? Yeah, you're right. Construction. What else?
Some cleaning activities.
Yeah, cleaning activities, services. Why? Look, reservation wage for migrants it was lower compared to the reservation wage so-called for natives. yeah, for Russian citizens. What happens in the sectors now? If you see the statistics, they increase their wages at least by 20% for cleaning, for instance. Why? Because migrants, because of closed borders, cannot go to Russia. And these sectors basically lose their labor. So labor demand is higher than labor supply. But native people, so-called, yeah, they do not agree to work for this salary in these sectors. Yeah, and because of that, this construction nowadays and this cleaning and services have really labor shortage, and they increase the salary. If you read in the news, like at least on 20%. Yeah, so they increase for the salary for 20%, but still people, regional migrants, for instance, and people from St. Petersburg, they do not agree to work for these wages. It means that their reservation wage is higher than the wage that your employers provide, can provide. And this creates a situation when we have labor shortage in specific sectors. And if you read the news, many employers say that we have a problem. We do not have like unqualified labor force because no migrants because of closed border. And for this money, people do not agree to work. And this is, again, dealing with the concept of reservation wage that we discuss now. Okay, so of course, your reservation wage depends on your non-labor income, depends on your preferences, and it depends on different, basically, personal characteristics like majors that you study, your education, etc., etc. Yeah, but it's just like minimum wage for what you agree to work. Yeah, it depends on your situation too. So if we go to the labor market as a whole, we have labor supply curve. So labor supply curve is just like aggregate labor market supply that is given by adding up the hours of all persons that agree to work in this stage of economy. So, and this labor supply depends on the reservation wage of people and depends on the market wage. The situation is simple. Is the market wage higher than the reservation wage? What happened with the labor supply in the labor market? Your reservation wage is higher than the basically market wage. What happened?
It doesn't exist. So nobody works.
Yeah, nobody works. But is it real situation when nobody works?
Nope.
No. What can be okay? Not in reality. Okay. Think about Russian wages. What's the problem with the Russian wages? Okay, think about wage. Like, what is the reservation wage? It's like amount for people, to go to work. But this is amount that people, so-called, get on their, I don't know, debit card. So like people get on their hands. Like people, like this is a money that people agree to get. Yeah. What happens with the real wage if the people work formally? The employer paid some taxes and the employers need to pay some taxes too. Yes? If this market wage, like formally market wage, is lower than the reservation wage, what one possible way to increase this market wage? And in Russia, it happens very often. maybe it's not really good explanation for me.
So to somehow reduce taxes, and if it is not possible, just do not pay them. So do not work in official way.
Yeah, you're right. Like, how to reduce taxes? Just do not pay them. How do not pay it? You work unofficially, or you work officially for small amount of money, and then other salary gets in envelope. You know this scheme, there. It's not good scheme, but it's like shadow market, yeah, or like gray salary, as they call it, shadow salary. Yeah, it's happened when this reservation wage for people is higher than the market wage. We may have the situation when we have so-called unofficial labor, yeah, or undocumented labor, or it can be like shadow market, informal economy, gray market, because unfortunately, like employers cannot provide you normal, formally so-called white wage, yeah, formal wage. So in Russia, it is a reality. Or, for instance, they try to solve this problem when they introduce the special law for self-employment. You probably self-employment, I don't know how to English, amnesty. Yeah, amnesty. You have heard, yeah, you can now register as a self-employed people with a small amount of taxes, and they introduce this because of many private teachers, people who work in beauty sphere, they work unofficially, yeah, and they provide the how it's like simple way to legalize the activities when you work as samazanity in Russia, yeah. You know this, you can register samazanity, and I think it's like 6% taxes. I'm not sure. I think it's like not so huge taxes. It's like way to legalize at least. Okay, but unfortunately, I mean, people want to work formally because of social security, but maybe it's sad for you, but you are so young, and if you stay in Russia, for you it's not be really realistic to rely on the social security service by our government. I mean pensions. Probably you have no pensions when you will be elderly because of our pension system. And we have one debate for one group, what are going to do with this retirement age, and retirement age does not help to cure our pension system. And unfortunately, for people who are 20 and even who are 30 or 40 now, probably with high probability there will be no pensions in Russia. So you need to decide by yourself how to survive when you decided to lay out from your job.
Why?
We
why?
won't live enough.
Sorry?
We just won't live enough to receive our pensions. Come on.
Come on, it's only 60. It's like no, you know, live young, die fast. Yeah.
No, they will just they will be able just to make the retirement age higher for 2 or 3 times, and in that case most of us just won't see our pension.
Probably. Do you know how our pension system works? The simple is like, if you work now, you pay your taxes, and your taxes go to the do the elderly people who get your pension, who get their pensions like now. So you pay for the pension of people who are elderly now. And so when you are going to be elderly, then people who work will pay for your pensions. But what was the demographic situation in Russia? What is the demographic situation in Russia now?
A lot of older people, and there are the shortage of working class, and there are not enough taxes for paying pensions for elderly people.
Yeah, and then if you look on the forecasting of demographic forecasting, the situation will not be better.
But it's not all about Russia. It's about it's global demographic problem, and in that case, that we have on a paper we have two model of pension system. Yeah, when someone pay for your when you are older, or when you just collect the taxes collected, and then you get it. But de facto, there was some lecture on Sciences from Sergei Guriev when he tell that, in fact, all systems working like when younger paying for older in time.
Yeah, but for instance, in USA, they do not have like social security pension, or in Africa, for instance.
Yeah, or you just have no security at all. So there is no good way.
Yeah, it depends on your position on the labor market and depends on your wages. For you, no system at all will work better because you are going to graduate from high school of economics. You will get normal salary. I mean, because you have good education. I mean, it's not. It doesn't mean that like diploma about how education give you high salary. It means that your brand of your universities that you finish, give you like possible way to be in a good jobs. And maybe for you, it will be better. But of course, for other people, for minorities group, for people who do not have this so-called privileges, for like insecure groups, so-called, for them the system is not good because they may have some obstacles to enter the good university, to enter the good job market position, and for them they cannot pay for their social security, for instance. So this is disputable questions. So like, what is better? Okay, so labor supply. And basically, one small word, labor supply elasticity. It's like person change in hours of work divided by person change in wage rate. So if the labor supply elasticity is greater than 1, that indicates that hours of work are greatly affected by change in wages. So it means that labor supply curve is said to be elastic. And basically, this is some empirical facts, but I think we are done for today. We finished with the labor supply, and in the next lecture, we will discuss the labor demand, and on the next lecture will be test. It will be based on the first presentation that I upload in LMS about the structure of the labor market and some information from the slides, and will be an LMS. You can use lecture slides, whatever. It like will be 10 or 15 minutes. The first test as we discussed on the next week. Any questions about what we discussed and studied? Any questions about debates and topics? I hope you find it.
Можно по поводу дебатов? У нас, вы заметили, да, что много людей пришло, потому что нас перекинули с другой ДВП? Ничего страшного, если мы тоже сейчас в табличку впишем свои команды, и вы нам тоже топики для дебатов распределите.
Да, конечно, слушайте, давайте так, тогда нужно переиграть. Сколько примерно людей пришло с другой программы? Вы можете?
Человек 20 точно, по-моему.
Так, и смотрите.
Я вам отправляла письмо, там есть табличка, и там написано, люди пофамильно, кто перешли.
А вы когда отправляли письмо?
Вчера.
Слушайте, наверное, я его не смотрела. Смотрите, тогда, смотрите, если у нас человек 20, то если вы... Слушайте, у нас закончился семинар, кого не волнует, и кто узнает свою дату дебатов, может идти, чтобы вас не останавливать. Я просто хочу сейчас тогда решить с теми, кто заново пришел. Смотрите, у нас есть вариант... Сейчас я просто блокнот свой возьму. У нас есть вариант...